The ledger is really unassuming. It's sitting open for you on the desk under the library that was curated by Saoirse for this recreation of Alasdair's room. You would never sort of know that this is actually one of the most important parts of the archive. I think it's sort of become this symbolic item within the space about how Alasdair worked. He found the ledger in a skip and was like, I'm having that, I'm taking that home. And it became this massive workspace and sort of a place to spill everything that was in his mind. And those marks that were made by the accountancy firm that had it before weren't erased, and he didn't tear out pages, but blank spaces were blank spaces and he chose to fill them. He was an artist that used what was there and what was available to him, and I think the ledger really shows this. I remember Marion and David Donaldson came into the archive to talk to Saoirse, and they talked about sitting for Alasdair and how he just rolled out this big piece of brown paper. When you think of it, you know the paper. It's this cheap brown paper and there's massive rolls of it, and you can roll out as much as you want. You can make your drawings as big as you want because you're not worried about how much that big roll's just cost you. What I also love about the ledger is that you can see these entries from the accountants mixed in with drawings of Alasdair's loved ones or a cat. And then there's diary entries or ramblings. But then there's drafts and reiterations for much bigger projects. And like published final projects. I think this is what's so interesting about the ledger is it's not a finished piece. It's not that you're looking at that and being like, oh wow, like another one of Alasdair's great prints. It's just a workbook. But so many people come in and this is the thing that they're inspired by, because when you sit down and you turn the pages and they crack and crinkle because they've been soaked with ink and they've dried again, it's such a comforting sound. You don't feel wrong for flipping through the pages and looking through what he's written or his photographs or his paintings. You feel comfortable sitting there. And I think that's why people get so inspired by the ledger. You're comfortable in looking through it and seeing what he's recorded in there. And that's why it's such an important part of the archive, because it's not finished. It's an insight into how he worked, into how his brain worked, into how he planned and how he thought about things and how he recorded the changing of the city that he was from. And I just think it's such an important part of the archive, even though it just looks like an old dusty book. And I think it was a great choice to have that sitting out on the desk to make sure that people see it, because it is so important into understanding how Alasdair worked. I think that's invaluable in recording and preserving the history of a person.